Hey, if you're coming to America, think about it. Think about it. Because if you're coming to America just because somebody told you about how great America is a paradise, America is this, America is that, bro, think about it again, because you might be in for something surprising. This is Damilola Folabi, and welcome to my story, my vlog, my podcast titled My Eyes Have Seen. My Eyes Have Seen basically is the chronicle of my journey, how it all started in Nigeria, then me coming to America, and how I've lived in America for the past 7 years on a crazy adventure of faith. And trust me, this story is filled with twists and turns, and you're gonna love it. Welcome. All right. Story. Okay. Hey, do you like how I smile? Listen, my name is Damilola Afolabi. If you're not Yoruba, if you're not Nigerian, Oluwa Damilola actually means the Lord bestows wealth upon me. So, fun fact is, if you say my name 7 times, like Damilola 7 times, your bank account is going to receive an exponential boost in the number of zeros in it. So, for real, people have testified. So, if you're a person of faith, you should just try it right now and call me. Call me when you have the zeros. Call me when you hit that. And please pay your tithe. Okay, my name is Dami once again, and this is My Eyes Have Seen. You're wondering, what is My Eyes Have Seen? What is this title? What is this guy doing here? My journey started 7 years ago. This whole podcast, this whole experience that I'm documenting right here started 7 years ago. But before I go into that, what you'll be experiencing in the episodes that will be coming after this is a chronicle of my journey living in America, coming to America and living in America for the past 7 years cumulatively. And it's a story of a guy who had no clue, who had an idea of what America should be, and go to America eventually and had a whole different experience. Coming into this month, actually April, I felt like it was a perfect time in the 7th year to actually share my story. I feel it was important that I actually bring people into the journey that I've been on, and I feel strongly that people will be inspired by it, people will learn from it, people will draw lessons from it, and people will also be entertained by it, because I am an independent performing artist. I'm a cultural activist. I'm a writer. I'm a son. I'm a brother. You know, I'm a black man. I'm a proud black man. See this? It's called Black Boy Joy. Black Boy Joy. All right. So, where do we begin? This is the first episode. Where do we begin? For some reason, I've always been on camera, but now that I'm doing my own vlog, I kind of feel like all over the place. But I don't want to ramble. I want to keep this very, very, very succinct. If you know me, you know brevity is not my friend, but I think for this kind of content, it is very important that I make brevity my best friend. All right. Shout out to my very good friend, Tom, Mr. Tom Green. You know, my real guy, real homie, real dude is the one helping to make this happen. Shout out to Creators Co. Yeah. So how did it all begin? Because before I got to America, you know, there's a catalyst. There's an inciting incident that led to me coming to America. So I'm going to give you that. Before that, Americans need to know this. If you're an American or if you've lived in the West, I need you to understand that for many Nigerians or for many Africans or for people living in developing countries, quote unquote, third world, winning, and I use the word winning intentionally, winning, or let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that verbiage. Getting a visa to come into America is like winning the lottery. You don't understand that. Let me rephrase. For the average Nigerian person to get an American visa, to get a visa to come to America, it's like winning the lottery. Like, I mean, like, for that, the experience, the joy, the people go to church to give testimony for this stuff. Like in America, you guys come to church and like, oh, I just got healed of this and that. People in Nigeria, people come to church and give testimony. I just got the visa to go to America. Everybody will praise the Lord, and the whole church goes, bonkers celebrating, like, because it is such a huge deal. And you wonder, like, why do people celebrate that? Because there's an idea that when you get a visa to come to America, when you come to America, is almost like you come into your promised land, you come into a paradise, you come into a place where everything changes for you, and automatically your life becomes better. Like the moment you drop, and you land in America, like automatically you leave everything negative about your life behind, and you just step into this new level of abundance. And everyone you left behind in Nigeria or your home country suddenly have this expectation of you, or this idea that now you live in an ideal society, or in this utopia where you're just supposed to become rich automatically. And that's a conversation for another day. So to my own particular story, I grew up in a very small knit family. Love my family. I have two siblings. When I got my first degree in economics in Covenant University. Shout out to all Eagles and Shigles out there. But I knew that economics or finance, anything in that sphere, wasn't what I really wanted to do. What I actually really had a heart for was entertainment, creativity, storytelling, content creation. But as of then, that wasn't available in my university, so I just decided to go for an alternative, which I wish I knew better. I wish I knew better. Anyways, but I got out of school, and I remember telling my friends then that I would rather take a super pay cut to work in an entertainment outfit than to go work in a bank. Like back then, like everybody was going to the bank to work, like, because the banks were paying well then. But for me, I felt like if I got employed in a bank by 8 a.m. on Monday, that I was going to get fired by 2 p.m. on that same Monday. Just because I'm so much of a restless being. And, I have this itch. I can't just, it's not just my thing. That was just what I believed then. And interestingly, I got a job. My first job was with a Christian broadcasting network, the first of its kind in Nigeria, in Africa at that time. And I wasn't there for too long. But then I landed my dream job. Like, think of it as if you're in production or in TV or in entertainment, like as a person behind the camera, like having a job with this organization is as big as it gets in Africa. And I got an opportunity then to be one of the producers. I was, working on two lifestyle shows then. And it was just, everything was amazing. Everything was amazing. Like, think of the job that you have, and your friends will call you and envy you and be like, dang, like, I wish I had your job. That was the kind of job I had then. I was traveling. I was balling with like the 1% of the 1%. Like, I mean, doing interviews with them, being in their space, seeing what they look like, what they live like, interviewing celebrities, meeting American celebrities. Like, it was exciting. I love to think, and I used to crack a joke when I was younger that one day I want to get paid for thinking, and literally that was it. Like, because as a producer, what you do is you develop an idea from scratch, and you work with your creative team to build that idea. You go shoot it and work with your editors in post-production, and then put it on air. And that's what I was doing, and that's just what makes me really come alive. And it was just amazing. Then 3 years into the job, I have this mentor then that I normally go to his house to pray and fellowship every week. And we're having a chat one day, and it was like, how will you react if the Lord told you to quit your job? And I was like, nah, stop it. Stop it. Sorry, sir. Stop it, sir. No. But one of those, I don't know if you've experienced this, but like me, that thing where like when you get a word, like when something drops in your heart and it never leaves, like it glues the wall of your heart and it just becomes this recurring memory that just keeps eating away at the at the walls of your mind until you do it. That was how that information felt. Like the moment the man dropped that seed, I just couldn't shake it off. I couldn't shake it off. And throughout 2015, I would just have moments where that word would come back to me like, damn it, I want you to leave your job. And I was like, this can't be the voice of God. Like, God doesn't support unemployment. Like, if I leave my job, then what? What next? So I remember saying no continuously for about 9 months. And I think when I knew that this wasn't just some idea I made up in my head, like this was real, was when everything started going wrong with my work. Like I went from, leading one of the best teams and having my work being a reference point, like really just like churning out good stuff, to like everything I was just touching just crumbling. Like I went from being Midas touch to Grim Reaper. Like everything that I was just touching with my work wasn't just turning out good. Like I was getting salary deductions, having like arguments with my boss. Everything was just really, really sour. Everything just went south. And I remember I had a moment with the Lord, and it was clear. The word came again, and it was like, damn it, if you don't quit your job, I'm going to make your job leave you. Hi. And then I knew God wasn't playing. But then, you also like kind of like, nah, like what do I go to? Like leave my job, then what? Because then the Lord didn't even tell me about America. It was just like, I want you to quit your job. And as everything will play out, then as at that time too, I just moved out of my parents' house into my own bachelor pad. And that, if you're a Nigerian, as a guy, like you put a lot of money into your space to look really good. So like I put money into that. Then I was also like had a production outfit with a friend, 2 friends, and we're trying to like create content and just like do some crazy stuff in Hollywood. And that too just tanked. Like nothing just worked. Like everything I literally put my money in just like died. So I was broke. And the Lord was telling me to leave my job. But I remember that towards the tail end of me, before I actually left, I remember that one of my colleagues that's on my team that works with me, the DP, told me about a program in Los Angeles called Act One. And I was like, what is Act One? It's like, oh, Act One is this program in LA where directors and screenwriters, like people who are professionals in industry in Hollywood, invite people from all over the world for this intensive training for 3 months. I was like, oh, that sounds good. But I thought about America. I was like, nah, America is not for me, man. Like, like literally, like, I don't want to overuse the word literally, but for me, I have PTSD. Like back then, like as a child, I had PTSD from just the idea of the journey or the process it takes to come to America, because I had close relatives. I had people I know who just got burnt out, who lost finances, who got swindled, who just, it was just a painful experience. And for me, I've heard too many horror stories of people who try to get visa, at the embassy. Like I didn't want to be part of that. I didn't want to be part of that experience. I was like, America is not for me. Like, and honestly, I naturally, for me, I have a heart for my country, for Nigeria. I've always just believed that, like, I was always going to succeed in Nigeria, no matter how hard the economy was. I just had this thing, like, there's just something about my belief that Nigeria will someday be great, and I was going to benefit from that. So I never wanted to relocate. For me, I like stability, So when my friend dropped that idea, I was like, oh, okay, let me check this out. You know, one of those things that you just kind of like check half-heartedly, like, okay, so I checked it out, like, oh, Act 1, oh, really looks cool. Like, yeah. Let me just try and even apply for this. Like, let me just try. Like, it won't hurt me to try to apply, you know? And I did, but I knew I didn't have the money. I was like, who has time to be doing? Let me just, actually, since I don't have anything doing. And guess what I did? I did apply and I got accepted. And they sent me the whole like details and tuition and everything. I was like, wow, like how do I pay for this? Like this thing's like running into like thousands of dollars. Like how do I pay for it? I remember that one of in the statement of purpose letter that I submitted, I had used one of my pastors in church as a referee. Yeah. So I told him like, oh, sir, I just got accepted into this program and I just wanted to let you know. And that was what I said. This is how it gets. This is where it gets crazy. This is literally where it gets crazy. As at this time, I was broke. I had nothing. All right. Eventually, I decided to quit my job. I was like, okay, Lord, okay. I think yes. Yeah. So the turning point where I eventually decided to let go was, I don't know if you've ever seen this picture. Then I think I had a Bold 5, a BlackBerry Bold 5, and it was this picture that someone sent to me, and it was of Jesus and a little girl. You know, a picture of a painting of Jesus and a little girl, and Jesus, you know, was beckoning to this little girl to give him the little teddy she's holding. But she has this teddy clutched to her chest. Unknowing to her, Jesus has a much more, you know, larger size, like a bigger size teddy behind him. Like, you know, he's using his frame to conceal the surprise from her, but he's asking her to give him what she's holding, but she's like, nah, like, you know. And because I have this sensitivity to creative things. Like when I see it, it speaks to me. And immediately I saw that image and knew like it was God screaming at me that, damn it, this is you. This is the situation you are in right now. You are this little girl. And this is what I'm asking of you. And I remember that in that moment I said, Lord, I get it. I get it. I get it. And it was December 2015. It was then I decided, like, okay, I'm going to quit my job. But then it's like, what do I do? How do I go from here? Like, how do I tell my boss? How do I tell my parents? Because these are people that really like value what I do and I respect a lot. So I had to come up with excuses. I just like, you know, I'm looking for a new job. You know, because then it's like, you can't tell. How do you tell your boss that, I'm leaving my job? Why? The law said I should quit. Who's going to take you serious? Like, who's going to take you serious? So for me, then I think it was wise to just come up with something that sounded professional. Like, you know, I wanted a new challenge. I've been there for 4 years and I wanted a new experience. So that was the excuse I gave. And I told the Lord, I said, this is how I know you are behind me in this. Now, if I walk up to my father and tell him, Dad, this is what the Lord said, and I'm leaving my job. If my father reacts positively, then I know you are with me. But if because you know, if you have a Nigerian father, if you have an African father, and you tell them that you are leaving your job that is paying you well, and you just wake up one day and you're like, I'm leaving my job, it's like, are you under a spell? Who is in Nigerian parlance they will say, who is doing you? Who is doing you? So I had all that behind my mind. I had all that fear. And I remember I walked up to my dad and I said, Dad, the Lord has been talking to me about something really sensitive, but also important and urgent. And the Lord wants me to leave my job. And my dad was silent for a second. And I was like, okay, who am I to question what the Lord said? Like, who am I to say no? Who am I to say the Lord has not told you so? When I heard that, I was like, wow, this is the number one miracle. This is the number one miracle. Because initially I thought that was going to be something that was going to be a drawn out like argument with me and my dad and this whole conflict. But it was just very easy. So I was like, okay, the Lord is with me on this one. Then the second miracle was how to fund the whole experience, from paying for tuition and getting my visa. So I'm not going to tell you the entire story at once. I'm going to break this into episodes because I don't want to bore you with because this is like a limited series, man. So I'm going to break this in parts. So what you're seeing in this episode is a backstory to what led to me coming to America. So I remember the youth pastor then, who I'd used as a referee. He called me and he said, "Dami, how much is the program? What does it cost?" Because the actual program is so beautiful. When I did it then, it was so beautiful. Then you had the opportunity to come to LA, be trained in the history of Hollywood, how Hollywood operates. Because I was coming for a producing executive program. So it was like, you had the opportunity, and you also have the opportunity to intern on a live set. Like, you be on a set with a Hollywood producer. Like, it's the dream for any TV head, And for me, then I was like, to have that opportunity. So when and with the course, like, you had the opportunity to actually like either just do the course or do the course and internship. And they had doing the course with the internship was much more expensive. I think it was like, I can't remember now, but it was running into like thousands of dollars. And the man called me and was like, "Yeah, like, do you want to do the regular program or the internship?" You know what I mean? I don't have money. I can't be choosy. I cannot be choosy. So I said, "Sir, I don't know, but I really love to do the internship, but I cannot afford it." And I said, "Okay, if you want to do the internship, let's do the internship." Gang. I was like, just wait, what is going on here? Like, what is going on here? My God. I got off the phone. I called my mom. I was like, "Mom, this is what is happening. This is crazy. I can't believe this is happening." Cut that section of the story short. My youth pastor reaches out to the school, makes the first initial deposit for my tuition, reaches out to me, help, like, a whole process that will take me, like, getting a visa appointment, like a whole process that will probably take months, got fast tracked. Okay, so let me keep you with the timeline. So I finally made up my mind. Okay, so I got told to leave my job. God gave me an instruction in 2015, like January 2015, early 2015. I eventually decided to let go at the tail end of 2015. So, but I had to like finish my contract term, which was a yearly contract, in April 2016. So I worked till April 2016 before I finally, dropped my things on my final day. So during this process, my application for Act 1 started in around March 2016. I think February, March 2016. So by April, when I was leaving, things were already like kicking in motion. Like, what is going on? Like, so it pays. Within like 2 to 3 weeks, I got a date to my visa appointment. Hey, I was like, what is going on here? What? All paid for. Guys, everything was paid for. Like, God was raising his sons to take care of his son. You dig? Yeah. I didn't even have any coin. I didn't even have any dime to my name at that time. I was broke. So, like, every expense that I needed to make was being covered. Like that. So I get accepted. The tuition gets covered. Like, the tuition gets covered. I'm telling you, like, God just started using people not even using people, like two. God raised two strong men, 2 of his strong sons, paid for my Act 1 producing executive program. And the biggest hurdle that was going to determine whether I landed in America or not was going to be the day of the visa interview at the American embassy. That is like going to America. Let me tell you, going to an American embassy is like walking into a gas chamber. No, going into an American embassy and getting your visa stamped and coming out with a visa is like going into a gas chamber, getting smoked, but not dying. And you actually come out alive. So imagine the joy. Like, I went into the lion's den and I came out, with a canine with the truth of the lion as a memento of my close shave with death. That's how scary it gets. Like, forget my hyperbolic expression. You understand? I'm an actor. You know, I can be very dramatic, but that's just the sense of it. So let me. I think it'll be a good place to put a pin on, like going to the embassy. Going to the embassy will be a good place to put a pin. Or should I finish the embassy story so we can continue next episode? Okay. I'll finish the embassy story. So the day of the appointment, my brother, my sister, see my very conk Yoruba accent is coming. It's coming through. So this is what happened. If you are a Nigerian and you're planning to go for a visa interview, the first thing your family will tell you is, don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody that you are leaving the country because you don't know who has bad belly. You don't know who has animosity. You don't know who is praying for something negative. Like, so keep your miracles, keep your testimony, keep your stories close to your chest until it happens. Then tell her. So you find out that this happens a lot. I don't want to digress, but you find out that, like, you have friends that you've not heard from, like, for a long time. And suddenly you just see them on Instagram, like, or on Facebook, and boom, they're like in New York, on Canada, and like, bro, like, you didn't tell me that you left the country. It's like, yeah, it just happened like that. So everybody's weary of, like, sharing all the, the tea about what they're doing. So your family will advise you to keep it hush hush, and you pray, you fast. So I did all that. But none of that still prepared me for what I was going to experience at the embassy. And like, you get to the embassy early in the morning. Like, once you get there, like, you meet all these people at the gate. Like, they're trying to, like, tell you to check this, tell you to try and kind of, like, just make money off of you. Like, if you're not properly prepared, they always have something. They always have something to tell you. So I did all that, got on the queue. And the way the American embassy in Nigeria is set up, I don't know about other countries, but the way it is set up, it is like, in my mind, the way I can describe it is like a firing squad. It's like this large room, and you have all these cubicles, like, for the officials, the embassy of the consulate officials that will be interviewing you, and everybody is, like, on a file, like, you're queuing, so you're going, like, so it's like a train. It's like a train. So pretty much you are listening to everybody's interview. Like, you are listening to everybody's interview, and that alone in itself can, if you don't have it together, it can really scare the heck out of you. So I made it to the room, and I think I pride myself for being able to communicate very well, for being able to be confident and being able to hold my own and answer questions and be very, very confident in an interview. But nothing prepared me for what's going to happen next. I think I started having the jitters when there was a man that was being interviewed, and I could tell the man is a Yoruba man, and he was like, yes, I have houses here and there. I have this property here and there. I am this, I am that. I am this, I am that. And the next thing, I heard the voice of the embassy official, and it's like, sorry, won't be giving you the permission to go to America at this time. That yada, paraphrasing. And the man just went like, what do you mean? This, da. This is, the man just went crazy, and he was blah, 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 blah. He was literally escorted out. And I was like, wow, like, if this man who is wealthy can be denied access to going to America, like, who am I? And that's how you hear the story of, of people in front of you. You see students being denied. You see couples being denied. You see older people being denied. You see people also being granted, and you see the joy on their face immediately. They get told that their application has been approved. Like, it's like crazy. And in your mind, you're praying like, Lord, please, let me walk out of this place with something positive today. So fast forward, I get in front of this man. I think he must have been in his 50s, the way, from judging by the way he looked. And I in my mind, I was like, okay, Dami, one thing I told myself was, no matter what, like, I'm going to be as truthful and as transparent in every process. Like in this interview, I'm not going to come up with any lie. I'm not going to try to, fabricate what does not exist. I'm just going to just tender my purpose, why I'm going there and why I should be allowed to go there. And so that was what was at the back of my mind going into my visa interview, that I was going to be honest. I wasn't going to lie, irrespective of how things play out. So the very first, I get into front of so it's a glass cubicle, so they can see you can see them. And he's standing, so he looks at me. And the first question is, why are you going to America? And you won't believe what came out of my mouth. Recreating that scenario, this is how I reacted. Blah, 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 blah. Blah, blah, blah. I lost the ability to speak intelligibly. Guys, I've never had that experience in my life before, but that happened in that moment. The guy said, come again. Like, why are you going to America? And I just did blah, 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 blah. Like, I was blabbing. Literally, I was blabbing. I was so nervous that I think like a million words wanted to come out of my mouth at the same time, that it couldn't even have no sense could be made out of it. Eventually, I was like, I had to tell him, like, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Can I start again? And he was kind enough to allow me to start again. And he threw a question back at me again. I think I regained my composure, and I told him that I was going for a program, producing executive program in LA called Act One. He asked me all these questions, very, very like direct questions, and I kept answering, and he told me to provide documents, and I provided documents. And I think I was mumbling a whole lot of stuff. I wasn't making any sense in my mind. I felt like I was having an out of body experience. Like my mind was just all over the place. And in my mind, I was like, dang, I've bottled this. I came in prepared, and I allowed fear and anxiety to get the better of me. And I was just giving him all the documents. I don't know if I was making any sense in my mind. I don't know if I was saying something, I was hearing something, and he was hearing something different. I don't know till tomorrow. And he was like, okay, cool. Like, yeah, you have all the documents. And it was like, okay, cool. Your application has been approved. Boom, bam. Gives me the a paper to hold, to take to the what's it called now? To the courier office to pick up my passport some days later. And in that moment, it was where it hit me like, this is happening. Like, my visa has been approved. You know what I did? I ran out of there so fast. Because in my mind, I was like, let me not wait here and be celebrating in case he changes his mind. I ran out of the place so fast. I got outside. I decided to prank my mom, because I know my mom she's very, very dramatic. I decided to prank her. I was like, Mom, I'm so sorry. I don't know how to explain this to you. She was like, Kilo shele, kilo de. This is speaking in Yoruba, like, what happened? Like, kilo shele, kilo de. What? I was like, Mom, it's really so sad. Like, I don't know how to explain this to you. I kept just stalling. She's like, say it. I was like, I got the visa. I could hear her screaming her lungs off on the other end of the phone. All I could hear was, Jesus Osheo, thank you, Jesus, hallelujah. Picture a Yoruba mom hearing that news. If you have one, I'm not being crazy right now. I'm not being too dramatic. And I did the same with my dad, and I could just hear them, being excited. I could picture my mom just rolling on the floor. Oluwa ti ṣe o, Oluwa ti ṣe o, Oluwa ti ṣe o. And that was the beginning of my journey. That was what really certified at that moment that I left everything behind. I quit my job, and I was going to begin a journey to America. but I didn't know what was in store for me. Catch the next episode to get the gist of my eyes have seen. Story.